Stayed above the fray. I think we really admire that about her. I mean, when's the last time Dolly Parton was in a beef with someone? Absolutely never. She always had something positive to say. You know, even when we talk about her health, she wanted to focus on what was next. And you know, I just think that she was not a negative person, and that was reflected in every aspect of her life, whether it was her music, her wardrobe, her interviews. She just focused on the positive, and we could learn a lot from Dolly.
Became an even bigger hit for Whitney Houston, one of the best-selling music artists of all time. Parton once said, "I'd never stoop so low as to be fashionable. That's the easiest thing in the world to do." In a famous interview with Barbara Walters in the 1970s, Parton was asked if she was all real. She replied that she was real where it counts. Here's another moment from that interview where she confronted those who thought her brash style had made her a joke.
With what I'm doing, and I can change it at any time. Or I make more jokes about myself than anybody, because I enjoy it. I know, like I say, I am sure of myself as a person. I'm sure of my talent, of my love and for life and that sort of thing. I'm very content. I like the kind of person that I am, so I can afford to piddle around and diddle around with makeups and clothes and stuff, because I am secure with myself.
President Trump ordered the lowering of the American flag throughout the United States for a whole week in honour of Dolly Parton. Let's get a view from the US and speak to Showbiz reporter Kinsey Schofield. Good morning from us, Kinsey.
I feel like Dolly Parton would encourage the Pope to wear trainers.
I think you're probably right, actually. That is a very good point. I suppose we should start with how much of a surprise this is. There was a health scare and there was some cancelled appearances earlier this year, but she'd always kind of insisted she was fine. Remember that famous post where she sort of said, I'm still here?
No, you're absolutely right. She recently talked to People magazine and she said, I have so much more that I'm looking to do. You know, I have so much more that I want to accomplish. So I do think it caught a lot of people off guard. She passed away, as you've said previously, on Tuesday morning after being admitted on Friday to Nashville's Vanderbilt University Medical Center with autoimmune and kidney problems. She has previously mentioned in interviews that she had immune system and digestive issues, plus kidney stones and complications from her medication. So while we knew that she was navigating difficulty when it came to her health, she was also stressing to her fans, please don't worry, I'm still here and I'm still doing everything in my power to create for you.
Quite remarkable, her work ethic all the way through her career. And actually, I suppose, Kinsey, there's something to be said for her starting from really nothing, from very poor background, a huge family that had very little, and reaching the absolute heights of success which she did.
Well, maybe that's why she never took herself too seriously, but she always took her work so seriously. She built an entire persona around the big hair, rhinestones, and the larger-than-life glamour, and then happily made herself the punchline. That was part of her magic. I mean, behind all of that sparkle was a very sharp, very savvy woman who understood her image. She understood her audience and was almost always one step ahead of everyone else. Even Elvis Presley, when he wanted the rights to I Will Always Love You, she said absolutely not. Maybe she saw Whitney Houston on the horizon.
And that's a fascinating story, because in an interview years after, she said, I'm convinced I made the right decision, but I'd really have liked to hear him sing it.
Yeah, she also said that Priscilla Presley told her that Elvis sang that song to Priscilla on the steps of the courthouse the day of their divorce. Isn't that so powerful?
Yeah, it's remarkable. Absolutely astonishing. And it's just these songs that will transcend time forever and ever, I think. The other thing about her, Kinsey, was her ability to unite, it would seem. She openly supported LGBTQ plus movements, for example, but she was also loved by President Trump. Actually, she seemed to be the one unifying figure in the United States, but perhaps further afield than that as well.
Yeah, she stayed above the fray. I think we really admire that about her. I mean, when's the last time Dolly Parton was in a beef with someone? Absolutely never. She always had something positive to say. You know, even when we talk about her health, she wanted to focus on what was next. And you know, I just think that she was not a negative person, and that was reflected in every aspect of her life, whether it was her music, her wardrobe, her interviews. She just focused on the positive, and we could learn a lot from Dolly.
Yeah. Was she the most successful female country musician? Do you think we can say that?
I think that Taylor Swift is gunning for it, but Dolly might just be the one. I don't know if Taylor Swift has the same. Taylor Swift's a polarizing figure, and Dolly seems to have everybody, convinced that they love her. So maybe Dolly has one up on her, but Taylor Swift's kind of up there too. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because in terms of, I suppose, how these artists would classify themselves, Dolly Parton, I think, is it fair to say, maybe truer to country music than Taylor Swift has been? And that is, not to sort of wind anybody up, but Taylor Swift has probably strayed more from her country roots than Dolly Parton ever did.
So true, but because Dolly was such a universal figure, I think of her with Miley Cyrus on the stage. I think of her with Sabrina Carpenter, recording "Please, Please, Please." So I also think of Dolly as a pop icon.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And also, we were reflecting among our team how impressive she is as a business figure, and how she had this clear vision, yes, on her persona, yes, on her music, but actually in a broader sort of business empire sense than that as well.
Well, and she could have been a billionaire if she wanted to be, but she donated so much money. I mean, one of the things that she has stressed over her lifetime that she wants to be remembered for is the Imagination Library program that she launched in 1995 in honor of her father in her home county in East Tennessee. And it was a local endeavor initially, but then it transfers to Canada and the UK, Australia and Ireland. I think she's given away over 300 million books since its founding. Last year alone, over 40 million books. So she could have had all the money in the world, but she did choose to donate it and to send it to important causes and to give back and to share, which we really admire as well in her.
What do you make, Kinsey, of the response to her death? We mentioned President Trump ordering flags to be flown at half-mast for a week. It's quite something.
It is. I've noticed that people that were close to Dolly, they've all said something similar, which is she's finally back with Carl Dean and Jesus. We're happy that she's reunited with Carl Dean. That was her partner for nearly 60 years, her entire adult life. And my sources close to Dolly have told me that his death last year took a much greater toll on her than she ever let the public see. And again, she continued to work. She made plans and talked enthusiastically about the future. But and I do believe that was completely genuine, but privately I'm told to those closest to her could see a change after Carl passed away. So it's sweet that everyone recognizes that while we're devastated for the loss, she's reunited with her true love.
Kinsey, thank you very much for speaking to us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That's Showbiz reporter Kinsey Schofield speaking to us from Los Angeles.
Lots of you messaging in this morning about Dolly Parton. Dennis saying the kindest, most generous, warm-hearted woman had the supreme self-confidence to be utterly self-deprecating because she appreciated how razor-sharp she was. And Kate says the news is so sad. It's not often I feel this sad at the death of someone famous. She gave so much hope of how good people can be, that not everyone has to be corrupted by fame, money or talent. Such a beautiful, positive soul. Well, we are going to speak to a couple of other people throughout the programme today. You can share your thoughts on Dolly Parton, 0333 003 2353. We'll hear from those who followed her career and chart some of the successes, because she really did blaze a trail. She was a remarkable figure and a remarkable woman, actually, in the music industry at the time when she first began, especially from where she came from, her background. So we'll talk about that throughout the next couple of hours. Now, though, it is 17 minutes past